surrender your ships, we will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
So, 6 billion former humans have been turned into the Borg. How was this done? Well, by various means. They were infested with nanotech, genetically modified, and of course they had a whole host of genetic material stuck into them via exosomes, plus the I think it's SV virus, to give them cancer. Various means, ingestion, aerosolization, all the products you use, anything that is stuck into your system via dental or medical procedures. All of this are converted 6 billion humans into the Borg.
The end.
And of course, this is the best time in history for anyone who wishes to join my group and use this massive alien technology campaign for themselves. We're going to explain exactly how to use it in the modus operandi of becoming superhuman and healing and anti-aging. So here it is, it's the SV40 virus that has been put into humans via medicinal means and is used to cause cancer in test animals, so they can test out cancer therapies and look at cancer mechanisms. And the way to give an animal cancer is to stick in the SV40 virus. So we know that this changes the genetic structure of those infected, and here you can look it up for yourself. Now, wouldn't it be good if you were a billionaire or trillionaire or quadrillionaire to be offered by the aliens technology so far ahead of what you understand, but it can keep you alive up to 100, like Henry Kissinger died at 100, and the former peanut president Jimmy Carter died at 100. This technology available to billionaires and trillionaires and those invaluable to the deep state like Henry Kissinger, ignoring his ethnicity. Wouldn't it be a good idea if the aliens offered you this technology and it could heal the important people on the planet, who of course are the billionaires and trillionaires? Everyone else is simply useless eaters, according to the World Economic Forum and the royal family and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. So we've got loads and loads of healing videos here, all of which the billionaires, trillionaires don't believe in, because most of it is snake oil sales. Being a scientist, I have zero interest in the so-called healers. As I've explained, healing kills, infests diseases, the healer, then they pass on that killing and disease to you when you have the laying on of hands. You can't make it up. Now, we look at what the aliens offered the Rothschild Rockefellers, which was technology, science, so far ahead of human science, that could increase their lifespans, de-age them, and potentially, if you've got enough of it, produce Methuselah-like lifespans. And with the advent of cloning, if you can pass your consciousness, soul, spirit, the essence of you, into another body, then potentially you can have a body that lives to Methuselah-like years. Hundreds and hundreds of years, nigh on 1,000 years actually, and then you can pass on to another clone of you and live again. So forget all of this smoke and mirrors about the billionaires, trillionaires living as data in AI run world. That's for the Borg in their 15-minute cities who make their living by adding to the matrix, which they've already talked about. So in the post-industrial society, which is was planned for the West before Trump, you're locked in your 15-minute city, eating your insects and drinking your maggot milk with three new clothing items a year, and you can't travel outside of your 15-minute city without special permission, and you can't travel more than 1,500 kilometers in 3 years. So they're farming humans. They've got humans on a farm. It's animal farm. It's more accurately, it's called Borg farm. But what are they farming for the billionaires, trillionaires? They're farming the science of psychic warfare. They're farming scalionics, torsionics, and leptionics, stuff that no scientist in the West knows about, but were the scientific basis for Soviet psychic warfare. So the Borgization of 6 billion is farming scalar energy. This scalar energy is taking away half of their energy field. That's according to doctors who've looked at their energy field, and of course Bill Gates holds the patent to run all of the wireless technology in your house by vampirizing, sucking off your energy field via the nanotech within you, and he holds the patent for it. So if you want to research that, just go through the endless interviews of Maria Z on Z Media. She's on Rumble because she's definitely not YouTube friendly. She might be a Christian nutcase, but some of the guests she has on, excellent, and she goes through all of the papers that the WEF and the deep state have been funneling out revelation of the method, telling the Borg what they're going to do to them before the Borgization. So, the 6 billion are pumping out lots of scalar field. They're also pumping out torsion fields, which are sucked up by the alien technology and are used to potentially de-age and turn billionaires, trillionaires into superhumans. The billionaires and trillionaires don't understand the science or the physics because, of course, they're basically just chimpanzees with 1% difference in the DNA. A chimp's 99% the same on the DNA level to a former human, but now the Borg. So the Borg are also pumping out torsion fields for torsionics. How scalar fields and torsion fields are connected comes from the Rifat-Equations, which I've developed all the science behind Soviet psychic warfare. And of course I'm not telling anyone because knowledge is power. And of course I like the power. Forget about the Nobel Prizes, I just want to be the great dictator controlling everyone and everything on the planet. Using all of the science that the Soviet scientists were trying to develop to produce psychic warfare. And of course we talked about the branching, where humans, aliens reach two crucial crossroads which can cause their destruction, which are nuclear weapons and, of course, psychic or psychotronic weapons. The genius of Tim Rifat is, why not connect them? Have the crossroads of nuclear weapons intermingled with the crossroads of psychic, psychotronic weapons, which of course I did by linking the cobalt-60ization of the planet, which happens with World War III, to the psychic, psychotronic end of a civilization, end of a species, where the cobalt-60 produces counterclockwise scalar and of course anti-Higgs field, which can then be used for reverse time density by killing the billions of people killed by the cobalt-60 to cause timeline changes and of course cause Kozyrev time density rerouting to stop nuclear weapons that you don't want to going off and a whole host of other things. Now, as you can see, even by my brief rendition of the past video, which is split into two, you can see that no human on the planet understands this science or this technology. I stand alone as a once in a species male, a super genius or hyper genius. And of course, how do you make yourself 5-dimensional? So you can control Kozyrev time density and control all mind over matter, or more accurately, matter over matter interactions on the planet, total reality control, the great dictator, and how, of course, can you kill off the entire human race using Cobalt-60 fast for the Westerners, and of course you're going to change the death point of everyone else, because there's going to be a little bit of Cobalt-60 floating around the planet, which of course will have slight deleterious effects on anyone outside the West and shorten their life maybe by minutes or seconds or a year or an hour. But of course, since you're the cause of their death, you control every event and everything that happens to them from their conception. That's Kozyrev time density and its implications. So you become the great dictator. All humans, once that weapon system was released, which was released by Ivanova technology from the past videos, has made everyone on the planet, including the aliens, under my absolute control, hence the great dictator. Now let's go back to torsion fields. Let's give you some new agey torsion fields, because I was talking to, years ago, to one of my friends who's on government committees for EM radiation, and he had loads of papers on torsion fields and didn't understand them at all. And of course I had a friend who worked as a professor of physics, passing me MI6's stolen book, telephone book on psychotronic generators. He didn't understand anything because Western physics doesn't include torsion. It doesn't include scalarionics. We have scalars, but we don't have scalarionics, the whole science of scalar fields. This all comes from the Nazis and the research in the Czechoslovakian deep mine facility, where they were researching all of this technology, and those Nazi scientists were captured by the Soviets and should have been used to give the Soviet Union total world domination, taking over the planet using the second crossroads, psychotronics, psychic warfare. But of course, Stalin didn't like it because it could be used against him, and the Kremlin lot didn't like it because it could be used against them. So they never used it to its full potential, because remember, once you get psychic warfare and psychotronic warfare, the people on the front line, the people who die first in any war, aren't the grunts. They are the elites. So if you're a leader of any nation or the hierarchy, once you have psychic warfare, psychotronics, you're the first people who are going to die when psychic warfare, psychotronic warfare is discovered, as we see with Netanyahu, who's had his prostate out and a pacemaker put in since he was tortured by the Iranian psychic warfare program, and his health has been destroyed. So why should the Iranians launch retaliation for the Israeli bombing of Iran and the assassination of their people, when they can simply go after Netanyahu and with psychic warfare? And they know psychic warfare works because they know from Putin, Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un, they almost died from it and were protected and healed by yours truly. So we're going to go over how Putin, Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un were healed by this technology. So let's have a look at a nice new agey torsion field. Oh, nice new age music. There we go, as you can see, we got massive amounts of information from that new age video. That's how much the new ages know.
stretching out in all directions, connecting everything. Fields remains contentious. It shares a kinship with these pursuits of unseen truth.
So as you can see, basically, no one knows anything about torsion fields outside of Russia. You can watch these, they're quite fun, but they'll tell you basically nothing.
In Cartan geometry was groundbreaking because it.
But according to Akimov,
Of the universe and the noosphere, which is a term coined by Russian philosopher Vladimir Vernadsky to describe a kind of global consciousness. Akimov's interest in the occult was not uncommon in the USSR.
Akimov, see, I must be a mind reader. I talked about Akimov and suddenly comes up on the YouTube video. I'm reading the minds of computers as well. That's another aspect of remote sensing. So one can see that torsion fields are all Soviet, came from the Germans, who were the ones who used them in the underground bunker. And it's no coincidence that the foremost expert on all the former Nazi technology in the deep mine is half German with mummy being Prussian. So it's basically the Akashic record of my lot. The Germans, not the things you see in Germany now, who are simply slaves of the World Economic Forum, but the German race that was exterminated by Hitler, a Rothschild, in World War II, and their futile attack on the Soviet Union, which is so much larger and was given infinite amounts of equipment by the Americans, by the Jew FDR, without Congress support, simply because he wanted and was working for the one world Jewish government, run by, guess who? The Rothschilds.
The Soviet government had a long history of interest in the paranormal. UFO torsion field research of Victor Schauberger. Schauberger was an Austrian engineer who worked on a variety, who is best known for his work on the nature of time and consciousness. Throughout his career, he developed a number of theories about the connections between torsion fields and consciousness, and his ideas continue to still be studied and debated by researchers in the field today. One of Kozriev's most significant contributions to the study of torsion fields was his theory of torsion time. He proposed that time was not simply a linear progression, but rather a complex and multidimensional field that was influenced by a number of different factors, including consciousness. Kozriev believed that torsion fields were intimately connected to the fabric of time, and that they played a crucial role in the functioning of the universe as a whole. He argued that these fields represented a non-local energy that could influence physical processes at a distance, and that they were responsible for a wide range of phenomena, from the behavior of subatomic particles to the movement of galaxies. In one of his writings, Kozriev explained that torsion fields exist not only as a geometrical property of space, but also as an energy state with specific properties. They can interact with biological systems and even with human consciousness. Kozriev's ideas about...
So, just to give you a bit of information, because all of you are thousands of years behind any of this. Westerners don't even know about torsionics or scalarionics or leptionics. There's only a few Russian scientists, because of course the Kremlin hated this technology because they were on the front line. But torsion links up with time density in that negative torsion fields collect time density, and positive torsion fields, which go outwards, lose time density. So positive torsion fields cause things, negative torsion fields use this to manifest what they want from positive torsion fields. So if you've got lots of humans, positive torsion fields, remember from their point of birth, they're affecting. If you can control their death, you can then hijack the effect of the time density. Remember, effect comes from collecting negative torsion fields. And cause positive torsion fields. So you want to have control over positive torsion fields, things that elicit positive torsion, which are in the conscious realm, all the fan worship, all of the positive, like worshipping a pharaoh. Hence, of course, you definitely need to control, by any means possible, the people that are uplining to them the positive torsion fields via worship. Madonna, Taylor Swift, actors, actresses, singers, and of course messiahs like Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. And you then want to collect it with negative torsion fields, like, of course, the mass sacrifice of the Gazans, who are slaughtered like dogs, and, of course, the mass negative torsion fields of shortening and killing and diseasing 6 billion Borg, which is a massive torsion field collector. So they're the super genius. Tim Rifat has explained why you want to hellize 6 billion, the Borg, make them produce negative torsion fields from their myocarditis, strokes, their lobotomy via the nanotech, their turbo cancers, locking them in their own homes, frightening them with the scandemic, and of course the so-called plague released from China. All of this is a science and technology of torsionics. Wow, I didn't realize, yeah, you've been looking in the wrong direction. The Illuminati, or former Illuminati, because I've taken over, being the great dictator, as well as the Jewish Messiah, as well as the King Vampire, as well as the Cyborg, as well as Lord of the Rings. I keep collecting titles, Cameraman. All of this is to use scalionics and torsionics. What for? Well, all the Rothschild, Rockefellers and their ilk print money and get paid more interest the more money they print. So for them, money is irrelevant. They've got as much money as they want, and if they haven't got enough money, they print some more. That's why they own a significant portion of the planet, and according to the FBI insider we talked about in previous videos, have basically acquired 100 trillion. So they don't want money. If you've got all of this money and you're buying up everything of worth, via BlackRock, Vanguard and State Street, what do you want? Obvious what you want. You want to live forever. And you want to be super healthy or superhuman, and you'll do anything to achieve that. Everything else is irrelevant because you've got the money and the power, and you've got all the congressmen and senators, and you see with Trump kissing Ackerman's posterior for the 100 million. So you can see what you want is this technology. And you've been looking the wrong way with the scamdemic. It was all about acquiring the secrets of Soviet psychic warfare, which the Soviets threw away because, of course, they were terrified of being on the front line. And now, of course, ironically, the Russian leader that took over from the Soviets, Vladimir Putin, was on the front line and would have died from this technology if it wasn't for yours truly. And why would he die? Well, he was collecting positive torsion fields for cause, Taylor Swift, Madonna, the rest of the A-listers. And who's collecting it via their grand technology? Well, war in Iraq, war in Afghanistan, war in Libya, war in Syria. Loads of useless eaters dying and or gigantic amounts of negative torsion fields produced and used by AI for this technology. So you're looking at history from a completely different and false perspective. Already torsionics, scalarionics and leptionics are the only thing that are of interest to the billionaires, trillionaires, and everything else is irrelevant. So you can see why Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin also were into medical procedures on their population to infest them with nanotech and ways of changing their genetic state. Because they too want to live forever. So don't look at it simply as a Western thing. Anyone in power with immense wealth wants and is desperate for this technology. And luckily, I've taken over, because if it's there, I take it over. So all of the vampires now have access to the eternal youth machine, superhuman machine, healing machine that this provides, and our prey, the things we feed off, are the 6 billion Borgized former humans that are supplying us with scalarionics, torsionics, and leptionics.
Fields and consciousness were deeply influenced by his studies of ancient mystical traditions, as well as his own personal experiences with altered states of consciousness. He believed that the human mind was capable of tapping into these torsion fields and accessing a deeper level of reality, and that this was essential for achieving true spiritual and scientific understanding. Dr. Claude Swanson, academician and author on mystical subjects, spoke on torsion fields and the human aura, which he describes as a complex and dynamic field of energy that surrounds the body. According to Swanson, the aura is generated by the body's own torsion fields and can be influenced by a number of factors, including thoughts, emotions, and environmental factors. In the 1980s, Russian researchers Vladimir Popinin and his colleague Peter Garriev conducted experiments to investigate the properties of torsion fields and found evidence that torsion fields could influence the behavior of photons, leading to a controversial theory that the DNA molecule could act as a torsion field antenna, receiving and transmitting information from the environment. According to their theory, torsion fields could interact with the DNA molecule and influence its behavior, potentially leading to changes in gene expression and other biological processes.
So, within the stuff injected into humans, we got luciferase that gives off light. That's why luciferase, and there is gene switching technology caused by photons, light, which Maria Z describes in her lengthy interview. So you can trawl through endless interviews and spend, well, months. I used to listen for hours. To how you can switch DNA on and off with light, and how, of course, when you inhale this nanotech and other stuff that they've been spraying like mad things out of planes for chemtrails. She's actually got a picture of the sinus cavities and the nose glowing blue, where the person's been inhaling this stuff, and it's already going into their brain via the link from the sinus cavities to the brain. And that's why, of course, we've got hundreds of NATO, American, Ukrainian disposables with huge spraying backpacks running around the train, spraying this stuff in the hope that I'll breathe it in. And if you don't believe the effectiveness of this sort of stuff, look at James Giordano and how he can change the behavior of enemy leaders simply by putting a pin head's worth of nanotech into their brain via spraying on them. So, as I say, my cameraman and I have endless fun running around the train, giving a wide berth and insulting the hundreds of disposables spraying this nanotech bioweapon poison all over the train in the vain hope that I might sniff it. I, of course, get around the problem by flushing my sinuses out with copious amounts of hydrogen peroxide. So I spend a good quarter of an hour when I come back from outside, just flushing everything and anything out of my nose and sinus cavities, and keep continuing until I go to bed. So that has worked in the neo-Stalin state of the UK, where this stuff was being used by MI5 and their disposables to get me, and of course in Vietnam, where you can give them a wide berth. You just have to spot the few Vietnamese and South Korean disposables, because mainly they're using Russian Navalny supporters and Ukrainian garbage that infest the train to spray out of their specially designed backpacks, which release huge clouds of nanotech and bioweapon into the locale of the train. As I say, one day we'll have to go out with the cameraman and film some of these creatures who are on holiday with massive backpacks. As every holiday maker wanders around with a massive backpack with a huge box in the back, because that's norm for any tourist, isn't it? To wander around with an immensely heavy spraying backpack, because that's what every tourist does. Anyway, to continue, one can see why the billionaires and trillionaires would be super keen on torsion field.
This theory was based on the idea that DNA emits weak electromagnetic waves, which they called DNA phantom waves. These waves were thought to be responsible for transmitting genetic information from one generation to the next. Poponin and Gariev proposed that torsion fields could interact with these phantom waves and alter the behavior of the DNA molecule. To test their theory, Poponin and Gariev conducted a series of experiments using a technique called photonic crystallography. In this technique, a laser beam is passed through a crystal structure to create a diffraction pattern. Popinin and Gariev used this technique to examine the effects of torsion fields on DNA molecules in solution. Their experiments showed that when torsion fields were applied to the DNA solution, the diffraction pattern changed, indicating that the structure of the DNA molecule had been altered. Popinin and Gariev believed that this was evidence of torsion fields interacting with the DNA molecule and causing changes in its behavior. They believed that the phantom DNA effect appears to be a fundamental mechanism of nature. The torsion field may be thought of as a carrier wave for information that is stored in the phantom DNA molecule. This information can be transferred to other DNA molecules, potentially leading to changes in gene expression and other biological processes. More recently, Professor and Dr. Anatoly Pavlenko, a Ukrainian scientist, has also made significant contributions to the study of torsion field research. In recent years, he has developed a range of devices that utilize the principle of torsion fields to protect against harmful radiation and other negative influences. Pavlenko's work is based on the idea that torsion fields can be used to create a protective field around the body, which helps to neutralize harmful radiation and other forms of negative energy. The history of torsion field research is vast and contains some big thinkers who helped subtly shape the heart of physics. To this day, humankind looks for the answers to consciousness, life, and death. Among these restless searches, we frequently come across the study and discovery of that etheric cosmic force that if only we could prove to exist, we could tap into and utilize to heal and elevate. Whether the Akasha or the torsion field, we inherently know that there is more to life than the physical world around us.
So, torsion field energy, secret technology by esoteric Eddie TV. I thoroughly recommend. It's a very good, précis introduction to this torsionics, which is unknown outside of Russia and the former Soviet states into it, which of course, remember Ukraine was part of Russia, but Czechoslovakia, the Czechs were into it big time. Now, one can see with this phantom DNA, that's linking to the DNA template in your biophysical body, which you use for remote viewing. So you've not only got DNA information in your physical body, you've also got it in your biophysical body, which can be used for dreaming or remote viewing. One is done while you're awake, first attention projection via the left energy center under the ribs, which we talked about. The other one's done while you're asleep, second attention, which is attention of all the fields inside the energy body, first attention energy fields on the outside of the body. And if you go into the multiverse and megaverse, then you can have a multiplicity of physical bodies which you don't inhabit but are available to you. New bodies that you can inhabit. And this of course means that by using torsion fields to link into the phantom DNA that is in your biophysical body, this has not been degraded like the DNA in your body due to carcinogens, radiation, whole range of things damage your DNA and it repairs it completely. So with this you can simply renew your DNA perfectly from the template that is held by the phantom DNA in your biophysical body, and the only people who can do that of course are people who've developed to become operational masters in remote viewing or operational masters in astral projection dreaming. The former being military operators of the highest caliber, like myself, being the UK's acknowledged expert on remote viewing. And of course the dreamers who live in the second attention or formerly human, the shamans like the Nagel Julian and the Tenant, who I interact with and have been teaching me how to become the premier second attention operator that is extant in the first attention, because remember they live in the second attention because you age extremely slowly, as explained in Carlos Castaneda's Fire from Within.